I would like to address the challenges that, in our view, the institutions are experiencing in regards to the safety and the well-being of the students. Number one, and the most important, are the growing crises around the mental health distress that the adolescents are going through. The suicide rates have highly increased in the last 1 decade, and the new challenges like depression, anxiety, and eating disorders, and so much more is coming up, and it is becoming very complicated, and it can also make us feel helpless to address these challenges because they are so new to us. Second, there is still a growing level of stigma, which makes it very hard for us to help those students or create a well-being, a better sense of well-being in our institution. There's lack of accessibility and affordability within the institution and in our society when it comes to mental health. There's lack of awareness, there's lack of mental health literacy. That's why it also becomes very complicated to address that situation. Lastly, I believe that the systems and institutions, they have an outdated system now. We are still learning how to address these challenges, what changes needs to be done within the institution, because the definition of safety and well-being it has highly evolved in the last 1 decade. And that's why we really need to come together as a culture, as a community, and reflect on what interventions can we take to address these growing challenges. So moving forward, we are going to introduce you to SWIS, which is, as Deepika said, a student wellness and institutional safety standard, which is a third-party certification focusing on helping the institutions to transform the institution to a more psychological and emotional safe institution. So now I would like to invite Mr. Hubert Jerome, who is the brain and the soul behind the certification, to share his vision around SWIS.
Thank you, Amogha. I just want to take a minute to tell you why we implemented SWIS. We don't have a care shortage in our schools. What we have is a training gap, and I'm sure most of you would agree with that. Student suicides have increased by about 65% across India over the last decade. And if the current trend continues, 1,000 more families will have that question every single year. Are my children safe? But you never know if you attended schools that take this seriously. They hold monthly workshops on mental health and empower their teachers to take mental wellness as serious as academics. But this isn't the case in most schools, because this silent crisis doesn't make much noise. Sometimes even these schools become statistics. And the reason for that is safety and wellness are not embedded into the DNA of our schools. I spoke with a principal about a year back, and we were talking about the increased incidences of suicide among teenagers. And we had a chat for about an hour. She agreed with almost everything that we had to say. But in the end, she said, I understand, Hubert, I agree with you, but this doesn't happen in our schools, not to our kids. Sadly, this is the state of mind for a number of educators in our country. And this is not because they feel a sense of superiority or a false sense of security. It is truly what they believe until tragedy strikes. And this is an epidemic which, has no boundaries. It can affect any child from any background in any school. So, what can we do to make this better? And we have to do this one educator at a time, one school at a time, one student at a time. The other statistics that we have is about our children spend about 1,000 hours per year with their teachers. But how many of these teachers actually have training in mental health and suicide gatekeeping? Almost none. If you had a child and they spent about 1,000 hours a year with someone, wouldn't you want them to be trained? That is what Swiss does. And I'll swing it back to Amogha, who will take you through the steps that we have in Swiss that accomplishes this task. Back over to you, Amogha.
Thank you so much, Hubert, for sharing your vision with us. Now, coming back to the challenges, I believe that the current challenges are being recognized globally by different organizations and affiliations. And we can witness it through these four frameworks that we have right in the front of us that have recently moved their focus to a more holistic definition of safety and well-being of the institution. Number one, talking about Supreme Court verdict, which says that under Article 21, right to life and safety, Supreme Court has elevated student well-being to a constitutional right and has included emotional and mental safety in defining the safety of the institution. Then we have CBSE. CBSE has integrated safety mandates into the bylaws of affiliation, which includes teachers training, having at least 2 counselors on board, and safety audits. CIS, which is Council of International Schools, have made safeguarding as its cornerstone standard. You need digital, mental, and physical protection of your student for accreditation. Lastly, IB now requires trauma-informed practices where schools should have a system to identify and support students psychologically and mentally as well. And all these frameworks are being addressed by one mandate, which is Swiss. Swiss and Swiss Element cover all the demands and the requirements of these frameworks, and we are in complete sync with these frameworks, which also highlights how we are recognizing this crisis as a collective society, and we all are moving towards addressing that problem. And now what we need is easy and impactful intervention, and that is where Swiss comes in. Moving forward, let's understand how do we enter the institution and address these safety standards and address the well-being of the institution. So back in times, we used to define safety, or we used to just think of physical safety when we used to talk about safety. But now the definition has evolved, and now we are also acknowledging the emotional and the mental safety and the components of the same. So the real entry point isn't the gate anymore. The real entry point has moved to the teachers. Why teachers? Because as Hubert also mentioned, teachers are someone who spend more than 1,000 hours with the student. They are the people who are in direct engagement with the student for the most of their times. And so they are the great gatekeepers who can really help us recognize the early warning signs and implement the early intervention and encourage the student to seek the right sort of help. So why your teachers? Why are your teachers the real entry point? Because first, they are the first one to notice a change in mood, sleep, and attendance. They are most trusted adults for many adolescents. As I mentioned before, they spend more than 1,000 hours per year with each student. And lastly, they're currently receiving very less training for this. The truth is that now that we know that teachers are the real gatekeepers, they are the ones who are spending most of the time within the institution with adolescents. But the problem lags where they are lacking the training which is required to address those challenges with more confidence and self-efficacy. And that is why we have brought in Swiss for your institution, because we highly believe that Swiss and the well-being and the safety of the institution can only be addressed by recognizing that student well-being is a shared responsibility. So Swiss focuses on promoting capacity building. That is the first step. We believe that capacity building within the institution by helping the teachers become more trained and confident around addressing these mental health crises is our first intention, because it is a collective approach. We need to come together in order to address this issue. We at Swiss focus on mental health literacy, increasing accessibility and affordability towards mental health support, and breaking the stigma, therefore leading to building a more radical and acceptable environment within the institution. And lastly, but most importantly, why Swiss is important as a third-party certification is because with the challenges that we are facing, the parents are also extremely scared. They are also extremely scared to send their child to any institution, and it's becoming very hard to build that trust with the parents, which is completely understandable. So when a certification like Swiss comes in, it really gives the confidence to the parents as well in believing that this institution is psychologically and emotionally safe. So keeping all these pointers and vision in mind, we have come up with Swiss. Now, moving on, let me quickly walk you through Swiss. So, it is India's first school safety certification. It is an annual certification. The process is 8 to 12 week of onboarding. It focuses on 100% teacher coverage, and it is crisis ready by design. Moving forward, I'll quickly explain the 5 elements of Swiss that are there. Yes, so Swiss has 5 pillars. Number one, gatekeeping. As I already mentioned, that capacity building is the utmost focus of ours. We believe that every teacher should be trained enough to know how to address the mental health challenges and provide the right kind of support to the child, or refer the child to the right kind of support, so that we have that early intervention and we can avoid intense outcomes or circumstances. So we focus on training the teachers under gatekeeping through our 4-hour self-paced CPDA accredited course, which is available on our portal. It is a self-paced course with a lot of assessments and reflective activities, and every teacher can do it at their own pace within the span of 8 weeks. And once the teachers are done, they will get the certification for gatekeeping. Second, we have Wellness Council Committee. So we encourage the institution to have this umbrella committee within their institution that sort of checks in and focuses on all the well-being and the safety initiatives that are being taken care or that are being implemented within the institution. This Wellness Council Committee also addresses the policies that I will talk about in the next part. And the Wellness Council Committee is someone who will stay in constant touch and sync with us while we are implementing Swiss in your institution. The purpose of the Wellness Council Committee is to help us also stay updated and have a better sense of transparency and synchronization in regards to the safety and the well-being of your institution. And if the institution is facing some challenges, we are always here to help, as the Wellness Council Committee will communicate it to us. So the idea is that this Wellness Council Committee comes together every 3 months, and they address whatever challenges the institution is currently facing in regards to safety and well-being, and share a detailed report of the same with us. We also believe that this Wellness Council Committee should be a multidisciplinary committee because, as we mentioned before, student well-being is a shared responsibility. So it's great if we have representatives from different backgrounds and communities. We also encourage to have a parent or a student within the Wellness Council Committee, so that we get the community insight, we get the POV of everyone, and the solutions that we come up with are more inclusive and well thought. Moving on, under Swiss, we share at least 10 templates. Deepika, can we go back, please? Thank you so much. So under Policy Toolkit, we will provide you 10 policy templates, out of which 4 policy templates are mandate. They are the staff well-being, student well-being, anti-bullying, and grievance redressal mechanism. These are the 4 policies that need to be there in your institution. The template will talk about how you can implement these things, what are the pointers that needs to be covered, and we will directly work with you in helping you curate it and make it as the best fit for your institution. Moving forward, we have now, so first, once the institution has covered the first 3 pointers, the first 3 pillars, which we hope to cover by week 8 or 12, you will get the certification badge, and you can put that certification badge on your brochures, on your website. You can share it with the parents so that the better sense of trust starts to build there. Now, in order to retain the certification, we also have our well-being initiatives, under which we have quarterly workshops for teachers. These workshops are well curated and they are backed up by rigorous research. And the idea is to, again, build a better sense of confidence and self-efficacy within the teachers in order to address the different challenges that they experience in their classroom in today's time. With that, we will also have one workshop for the students, where we will help them build their own mental health first aid kit so that they know that, okay, these are the symptoms of, a mental health distress. And these are the interventions, or these are the little steps that I can take in order to help myself. With that, also, what are the referral pathways and what are the ways that I can seek for help and ask for help outside of my own ecosystem? Then we have crisis response. So the idea behind it is that if, God forbid, your institution goes through any sort of crisis, a crisis response team will get in touch with the Wellness Council Committee and we'll work directly with you in order to address that situation by sharing messaging scripts, sending some online, sharing some online licensed counselors or sending some on-site counselors, exploration pathways, and other sort of help that must be needed in that point, because this highly depends on what sort of crisis is your institution going through. Lastly, we have annual audits and renewal. So there will be pre and post surveys to understand how Swiss has fit in with your institution. What are the changes or tweaks that are needed so that the impact of Swiss grows with the coming years? There will be climate questionnaires and a compliance audit before the seal is renewed. Moving forward, now we'll understand. As I had talked about the four frameworks, now this slide talks about how Swiss addresses and maps that gap, and every requirement is mapped to the pillar of all those frameworks. Number one is the requirement is staff training and twice yearly by certified professionals, which is sort of a demand by SC and CBSE, which is addressed by pillar 1 and 4, covering the gatekeeping certification and quarterly workshops for the teachers. Second is psychological first aid warning signs and referrals. Again, this comes under SC and CBSE, which is covered by pillar 1, which is through the CPD accredited gatekeeping course. Then we have uniform mental health policy and renewed annually, which is covered by pillar 3 policy toolkit. Then we have qualified counsel and support team, requirement which comes under SC and CBSE again, which is being addressed through pillar 2, which is a wellness council. We have safeguarding policies communicated community-wide, which is a requirement under CIS, which is being addressed by pillar 3, which is policy toolkits and parental engagement. Lastly, we have trauma-informed practices and rapid crisis recovery, which sort of comes under SC, CIS, and even IB, which is being addressed through pillar 5, which is crisis response and recovery. So it's one program and every requirement, which leads to full compliance. Moving forward, I would request our implementation coordinator, Ms. Deepika, to come and now explain how the execution and the implementation of the certification will actually occur in your institution and what will be the flow of it. Over to you, Deepika.
Thank you, Amogha. So let me make this very real for you. Here's what the first year of Swiss actually looks like in practice. And importantly, most of the heavy lifting happens in just the first 8 to 12 weeks. In the first 2 weeks, we focus on onboarding. This includes formalizing the engagement, assigning a dedicated coordinator to your school, and collecting baseline data so we understand where you are starting from. We also have a kickoff meeting with your leadership team, so everyone is aligned from day one. From weeks 3 to 8, the focus shifts to teacher certification. 100% of your teaching staff enroll in a 4-hour gatekeeper training program. This is CPD accredited, multilingual, and completely self-paced, which means teachers can complete it alongside their existing schedules. And importantly, there's no disruption to classroom time. Parallel to this, between weeks 5 and 8, we set up your internal systems. Your wellness council is formed and trained, a small interdisciplinary team within your school. At the same time, we customize and implement 4 mandatory policies covering student well-being, anti-bullying, grievance redressal, and staff well-being. These are not generic templates, they're adapted to your school's context. After the initial setup, from month 3 onwards, the focus shifts to reinforcement. This includes quarterly teacher labs, student mental health workshops, and structured parent engagement sessions. So the system doesn't just exist on paper, it becomes a part of your school's culture. And then by month 12, we complete a formal compliance audit audit, certification is awarded, and we move into renewal planning for the next cycle. So this is not a one-time intervention, it's an ongoing auditable system. And just to address what is usually the biggest concern here, this entire process is designed to run without disrupting teaching. Everything is built around your school's existing rhythm. Now, remember those questions we started with at the beginning of the session? Let's come back to them and map them to what this actually solves.
Thank you, Deepika. Thank you for explaining the implementation. Now, I think all of us can see the results on our screen. So for question number 1, are our teachers trained in mental health gatekeeping? 44% say yes, 44% say partly, and 11% say no, not at all. Second one is, do you have documented crisis response for institution? It's great to see that 67% of you have said yes, 11% of you have said partly, but 22% of you have said no. How would you rate your school's psychological and emotional safety today? Again, it's lovely to see that 67% of you have said yes, 22% of you have said partly, but 11% of you still say no. Next one is, do you sometimes feel helpless dealing with student mental health challenges? Out of which, it's surprising to see that 25% of us say yes, 50% of say partly, but 25% of say no. Do you feel it difficult to build trust support with parents around their child well-being? 14% of you say yes, 57% partly, and 29% no. Thank you so much for your answers. And I think this shows that there is a mixed level or a status of institution and where we are at. It's great to see that some of us are there and some of us are still figuring it out on how to achieve all of these pointers. And this is where SWIS comes in. SWIS addresses all those 5 pointers. So if your institution is lagging even in one of them, then SWIS is something that can really help you address that challenge and become stronger and more confident towards addressing the well-being and the safety of your institution. So now you can reflect personally and see that if most of your answers were no or partly, then that's exactly where SWID is built to fix it. Question number 1, teachers trained in gatekeeping. If that is where your institution is lagging, then that can be addressed through a pillar 1, which is a gatekeeper training course. If your institution lacks documented crisis response or a stronger sense of referral pathway and support system, then that will be addressed through our pillar 5, which is a crisis response. The third one is, if you think that your school or your institution is suffering with psychological and emotional safety and you're still trying to navigate how to address those challenges, then that's where we come in through our whole certification. We help you address this challenge particularly. And then we have pillar 6, which will help us address it more effectively through annual audits and climate surveys. If you feel that your teachers feel helpless while trying to address the mental health challenges that your students and even your institution is experiencing, then again, that is addressed by SWIS through pillar 1 and pillar 4, which focuses on training of the teachers and even providing a workshop to the students, along with which we also provide some engaging workshops for the parents, where we will need your help to circulate those workshop details with the parents and encourage them to join these workshops, because as we said, student well-being is a shared responsibility and all of us need to start talking about mental health in a more effective way. Lastly, if you believe that you are still struggling with building a better trusted rapport with parents, then that is again where SWIS comes in through pillar 3. We will be providing parents, we will encourage you to tell the parents that you have SWIS certification onboarded, where we will encourage you to share the policies that are being implemented, the well-being initiatives that are being taken by the institution, the training initiative that is being taken by the institution, along with the parental engagement workshops, so that the parents know what is really happening and how are we addressing the growing crisis of mental health stress within the institution, and we can build a better sense of trust with the parents. So wherever your school is today, SWIS gives you a defined, certifiable path forward. Moving forward, Swiss is also backed up with a lot of alliances. It is built by a coalition and it is trusted in the field. Number one is My Safe Spaces. My Safe Spaces backs Swiss with operational excellence. We have a counseling department where the counselors can help us support the whole process and help you in the referral pathway whenever it's needed. We have Elevate, under which we have a lot of training courses that your teachers can take, that even parents can take, and maybe in the future the students can also take. And under Elevate, we also train school counselors. And under that training course, we can also provide some interns for your institution who are being trained under school counseling, and they can come to your institution for 3 months and work with you in addressing the issues and help your counselors through the process. We also have our app and IntelliCare, which I think Deepika explained before. Moving forward, we have Safe Spaces Foundation, which focuses on sponsored implementation for government and low-income schools with 24/7 crisis response, because we believe that everyone deserves this kind of support, everyone deserves this kind of audit, and that is where Safe Spaces Foundation come, where we also try to make this whole journey more inclusive by making some space for the government schools and low-income schools. Thirdly, we have Mindful Dignity Lab, which is run by Dr. Ram, and this helps us with academic rigor. Mindful Dignity Lab is collaborated with My Safe Spaces Labs, where we conduct deep, rigorous research, and everything that is mentioned in Swiss is backed up with rigorous research. Every workshop that we conduct is backed up with research. Mindful Dignity Lab focuses on cross-cultural research on dignity, well-being science, and evidence-based program design. Lastly, we have CPD Standards Office UK, which is an international accreditation. A gatekeeping course has been accredited by UK Standard Office, CPT UK Standard Office, and that really adds more value to the course and increases the reliability and the validity of the whole process. With that, we already have some schools on board with us. We have DPS Gurgaon and sister schools who have adopted Swiss certification in April 2026. We have also run some surveys with parents and teachers to acknowledge and sort of address the growing challenges that we're going through. So moving forward, I'll talk about those two surveys. So we believe that parents want this certification, but teachers really need this certification. We conducted 2 independent surveys in the span of 3 months, and we had similar conclusion. We ran a focus group with parents from Gurgaon in January 2026, and the outcomes were surprising. 70% of them experienced that they're extremely concerned about student suicide risk. 70% of them are not confident teachers and believe that the teachers are not confident, and they believe that teachers lack the understanding of warning signs. 100% of them support mandatory training for all school staff. 100% would support Swiss even if it took an hour of class time once a month. Similarly, we also did a survey with teachers where we sort of tried to measure their gatekeeping self-efficacy on basically how confident are they in order to address the mental health distress of the students, out of which 84% of them said that they have never received gatekeeping training. 51% of them said that they have average self-efficacy score, which is below the midpoint, and more than 67% had higher score among the few with prior training. The weakest areas that we recognized were resource familiarity, warning sign recognition, and knowing what to say. 100% parent demand a 67% efficacy gain with training. That is the gap that Swiss closes. So this is where we are coming from. This is what Swiss is focusing on. Swiss is highly focusing on addressing the well-being and the safety standards of the institution as the third-party certification. And we believe that we can really change the ecosystem. We can really evolve the ecosystem into more inclusive, awareful, and safer selves through the certification. And we need to work together. We need to come together as a community and address these problems and make sure that no student suffers in the coming time. So thank you for listening to us patiently. Moving forward, we are now opening the platform for any sort of questions that you might have regarding the certification or anything that we discussed till now. You can raise your hand. Yes. Yes, Mohit.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. It was a great insight into how we can, make our school a better place and safer for our learners. But I have a question, like our school is already UNESCO SEL accredited. Uh, Most of our facilitators are already SEL certified. So how would this add to our value? Like how will it's going to be another, point, like how it's going to be more differentiating, or what extra value it is going to bring when they are already UNESCO SEL certified?
I think one of the things that we are focused on is, as you were saying, if I understood you right, you have certain facilitators who are trained. Is that right?
Yes, most
Right.
of us.
Right. And that is where we see, some of the challenges. Because unless, you are as strong as your weakest link, and every teacher has to be trained in gatekeeping, particularly in gatekeeping. Because what is most important, we have learned through research, is teachers being able to recognize warning signs, number one, and number two, to understand what they need to do with it. The immediate, I think, reaction is to kind of go and fix that problem. That is not the teacher's job, and teachers should not look at solving that issue. That is for the mental health professionals. And sometimes, when teachers go and try to fix that problem that they see without, the assistance of a mental health professional, it could lead to unintended consequences as well. So this is, I think, where we differ. That's one. Second, it is not enough that you have training, once every so often, and nothing else is done about it. It has to be consistent. It has to be uniform. It has to be embedded into the organization, so that you're actually creating a culture of care within the organization. And I think that is something that I was, planning to talk earlier. A lot of times we do this for compliance sake. Compliance is the floor, in our opinion. A culture of care is the ceiling. Every school in India can build a stairway between them. And what Swiss does is it enables you to build that stairway with one trained adult at a time.
Okay, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you, Mohit. Is there anyone else? I would request Hubert to come and share the closing statement for this webinar.
Thank you, Amogha. I want to kind of leave you, with one thought. I think I mentioned this earlier, just a few moments ago. If you're doing this for the sake of compliance, compliance is not the end game. It is actually the floor. It is the baseline. A culture of care embedded into your school's organization is what is required, and that is the ceiling. And every school in India can build that stairway between the two. And what Swiss is architected to do is help you build that stairway. Another important, takeaway from what we have done in our research is very often we have policies or templates which are implemented in India, which have worked very well in Western countries. And training which has, worked very well in Western environments and communities, being taken and being redone in an Indian context. Sometimes that doesn't work. What one needs, and schools really need, is the cultural context that is required. Without the cultural context, I think a lot of the training may not hit the mark that they really have to in order to ensure good efficacy. And what we have focused on is that cultural context. We have taken the best of what is out there across the globe, in various countries across the globe, what schools and districts have done, what has worked, what has not worked. And we have taken that and adapted it to the Indian context so that it works within an Indian school environment, within the Indian school communities, because parents are different, teachers are different, the community we live in is different, and the challenges we face are very different. And I think one thing that we have done very well is ensure that we have adapted it to that cultural context. Finally, you are the people who are actually going to do this work. Thank you for being there, for taking care of our children day in and day out. And especially thank you for spending part of your day with us. Over to you, Deepika.
Thank you, Hubert. Thank you, Amogha. And thank you to all of you for taking the time to be here today. So moving forward, we just wanted to discuss the next steps. If what we discussed today resonated with you, here are 3 simple ways you can take this forward, depending on where your school currently stands. The first option is to schedule a brief discovery call with our team. This is a no obligation conversation where we understand your current setup, your challenges, and walk you through what an 8 to 12 week Swiss implementation could realistically look like for your school. If you're already considering this more actively, you can pre-register your school for the upcoming 2026-2027 cohort. This gives you full access to the full Swiss prospectus, detailed pricing tiers, and a complete compliance mapping. And if you're still exploring and just have specific questions or concerns, you can simply reach out to us. Share your context and our team will get back to you within 48 hours with a clear, detailed response. Additionally, if you schedule a discovery call and sign up for Swiss by May 30th, you will receive a 25% discount on the certification program. You'll also receive a follow-up email within the next 24 hours, which will include the session recording, the presentation deck, and additional resources to help you take this conversation forward. Once again, thank you for being a part of this session and for the work you continue to do in your schools every day. We hope this gave you something practical to think about and build on. So have a great rest of your day and a very pleasant weekend ahead. Thank you so much for joining us.